Baseball is dead.
Rest in peace.
It's a Monday episode. It's a big Monday. First of all, Joseph's here. Number one. Number two, we have Baseball is Dead merch. Baseball is Dead merch is here. We did have one Baseball is Dead shirt at the last stop, but here with Underdog, we got a whole ass store. It's baseballisdeadmerch.com. There is a whole catalog of t-shirt options. There is one sweatshirt. The long anticipated Baines meter t-shirt is upon us. Justin Havens, how does it feel to have your own t-shirt now?
Oh man, there's so many people I would like to thank. It just feels great. I've wanted a shirt about the podcast that we've done for like 7 years, and I'm so grateful to Underdog and all of you, and the people quote unquote behind the scenes who made it happen.
2 stops ago, there was a Dallas Braden Raise It type theme shirt. It wasn't particularly great, but this one by far, I will say, might be my favorite shirt that we've ever put out. It's the Dallas Braden Raise It shirt. It's Dallas Braden as a pirate. Dallas, your thoughts on your merch?
Looks like the boys on the Bucko crew are going to have to re-up for Red Ones because I was very surprised, pleasantly surprised when I rolled into Pittsburgh and damn near everybody on the grounds crew had one. That was cool. And they were wearing them when I showed up that day, which was really cool.
Well, they're going to have to get a new
So now it feels
catalog.
like I may have to be the one just because it's like, hey, I can't ask you to just re-up again like that. Maybe I'm the one who buys them and sends them to them.
Maybe. I mean, but also at the same time, wouldn't you say that like it's such a good shirt that they're probably just going to buy it without even you having to say that it's even available? They're just going to know.
It's significantly better than the Pirates shirt of yesteryear.
Yes. There is a Baseball is Dead shirt with like the tombstones on the back, has all of our names on it. There's just like the standard Baseball is Dead shirt. There's a Baseball is Dead hoodie and another ode to Dallas Braden. It's Dallas Braden's workout partner, Phil Brooks, also known as CM Punk. There is a CM Punk themed Baseball is Dead t-shirt, which is, I mean, there's just a lot of shirts that are probably my fucking favorite. Like Section 10 just did a drop on Friday, had some classics in there and some new ones, but we've never had outside of the just the original logo t-shirt, we've never had a chance to kind of branch out and be like, hey, like we've got a whole drop worth of Baseball is Dead merch. So very excited about that. Go to baseballisdeadmerch.com right now. Grab your t-shirts. When you get them, post pictures. We'll be sure to share them on all of our socials. We very much appreciate it, and I'll be rocking that shit all the time. I love the color scheme. I love the concept and the design. I mean, not to throw shade at whoever came up with starting 9, but I mean that's very basic, and it just wasn't that great. It was literally just like the Barstool logo with a baseball on it. Like Baseball is Dead has some personality, it has some character, and it's ours. It's what we came up with. It's what we put everything into. So rep that shit.
Shout out to Mrs. Hess, too. My 4th grade teacher who, when I told her, you do the classic, what do you want to be or what do you want to do when you grow up? And, when I told her that I want to be on a podcast and I want to create a shirt that commemorates the Baines meter and the Baines Institute and everything that Harold Baines stood for as an above average ball player, she said, I believe in you, Justin. I think a lot of people would have scoffed at that sort of combination of ideas, but she didn't. So shout out to Mrs. Hess, wherever you're at right now.
Shout out to Mrs. Hess. She's doing it big somewhere, I bet.
No doubt. She's a believer.
She is. Yeah. Shout out again. Dallas, I got a question for you. Maybe, I mean, I probably already know the answer. I didn't do a ton of investigating beforehand, so that's on me. But
I don't know how interested I am in answering. We'll see.
So yesterday, there was a viral clip of a very passionate speech from Dallas Braden before the Oakland A's game. And it because it was the last like Bay series game? Is that what it was about? Because it sounded like it was the last game in the Coliseum, but it obviously isn't. Is it because of the last time the A's were going to play the Giants in Oakland?
it's the last time the Oakland A's and the San Francisco Giants will ever play baseball against each other. Last time, that was the last Bay Bridge series, Jared. Put it like this, man. And this was just like, I was like, man, really? There's a trophy that's handed out, the Bay Bridge Trophy. And it works like this. The Bay Bridge series is a 4-game series split up over 2 series throughout the season. 2 at their park, 2 at our park. And you can win 3 games. Or excuse me, you can win 3 games. You win that last game to tie it or whatever, or to bring it to a tie, 2-2. If you win that last game, you win the trophy. So you can't win 3 games, but if you win 2 and then you win that second game, which would tie the series, technically you win that trophy. I ain't seen that trophy in 2 years. Like physically seen it. Mm-hmm. And the guy who works in the studio at NBC, Brody Brazil, is the man responsible for creating this. He had an idea, great idea, was like, dude, why don't we take like parts of the Bay Bridge during the 89 quake that we still have, and why don't we like make a trophy of something that just to kind of have, you know, like for fans, because we got a great rivalry here. We're fucking 15 miles away from each other. We hate each other. This would be great, but it's one of those things where the fans, you know, have that love and hate. But that trophy gone.
Where is it?
Mm-hmm.
You do know where it is, you lying son of a bitch. Who has it?
Mm-hmm.
Who has it? Why can't you tell us? Someone stole it. You have accusations. Have you confirmed where it is, or you have suspicions of who has it and is keeping it?
Not really sure.
Oh, you son of a bitch. Wow.
I bet there's a lot of people who are curious.
Interesting. Who is the last team to have been seen with it? The A's?
No, the Giants.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. But one feather in the cap is overall, the A's will be the victors in the seasons-long series between these two clubs. The A's have the winning record. So when it's all said and done, who won the ultimate Bay Bridge series? Who won the battles between these two clubs? It's the Oakland Athletics. Because when they squared off in a World Series, that it essentially incited the Bay Bridge, right? It wasn't even fucking close. It wasn't even, it was done. So Stu and the boys took care of business very quickly. But as far as the overall record goes, the green and gold, leaders in the clubhouse.
Interesting. So you mentioned that like during the pregame, you were out there playing wiffle ball with the fans and all that.
Yeah, like it's like I'll say this because I know how I prepare, and I think people who, if you listen to the game, people who watch the game know how I prepare, people I work with. It feels like this last trip or these last home stands at home, I'm going to show up and sure, I'll write my lineup in. But you want me to be honest? I don't really give a fuck about your other team right now. Like I do everything I can to make sure that fans listening to the game appreciate both sides, appreciate the talent that they're getting on both sides. That's my job. But I don't have anybody to make sure I'm doing okay. I don't have anybody to ask, hey man, how are you wearing this as a fan, as a broadcaster, and dealing with all like I don't have that person. So what I do have though is the fans. And they don't know that, but they help me. And I will take advantage of having those people around because there's a cap on that. They're not going to be there next year. I'm not going to get to cruise that Coliseum parking lot where the greatest tailgates in baseball happen. I'm not going to get to do that anymore. So I'll go play wiffle ball with the fans. Fuck your pregame. I'm going to go tailgate with the fans. Fuck your BP. Because that's where the fans are, and this is what I need to close this chapter. And it has nothing to do with anybody else. It has everything to do with the people who made my life what it is. And they wear green and gold. And they're out in the parking lot.
I think you also said something that I thought was, I actually agreed with you. If you take 300 A's fans, and it's like, yeah, we may not be 35,000 for every single game. But if you take 300 A's fans and put them up against 300 fans of another fan base, you're taking the A's fans in that battle.
Yeah. And I mean, it was, and I'll look, dude, that's, I said it, and just to kind of put a bow on what Jared's saying, I call them the Spartans of baseball, because I would take 300 of our fans and put them up against 10, 12,000, anybody else. And I promise you, in our ballpark, you will have no idea. We turn the lights off, you think every motherfucker in Oakland is in that place. That's what it sounds like. And what's crazy, Jared, is comparing what the 2018 wild card game was like in against Tampa at home, where there's 50,000 people losing their shit. Like I couldn't even hear myself think. I couldn't even hear the ladies next to me yelling at me about how shitty my team was because Yandy Diaz just took Sean Manaea deep 4 seconds into this fucking ballgame. But the 35,000 these 2 days in a row didn't feel like 35,000 people, because it's not 35,000 people cheering their team at the moment. What it is it's 35,000 people in one way or another going with friends and watching them mourn through this process, going with friends and family just to sort of, man, it's been so long since we've been here, right? They're not pulling for the A's to win per se. They're having conversations about what it's been like, what life was like as an A's fan, what's life going to be like after the A's leave. That was the vibe, and that was the conversation around. So it's 35,000 people, but it did not feel like it was the 35,000 people that it would if it was the A's ready to take on or ready to move into a postseason spot or something like. Just a very different vibe, man.
Yeah, that's understandable. Yeah, I mean, there's obviously a lot of instead of I'm juiced up for this baseball game that's about to take place, it's a lot of reflection and, hey, like, remember all like that game or like this memory. And it's not just about the memories on the field, not to get all sentimental and sappy with you, Dallas, but you know, if I were in that position that those fans are in, I'm less thinking about, remember that game that we sat here for? I would be like, remember who I sat next to for that game. Remember the conversations that we had in the seats, or remember what was going on in my life at the time that I was sitting here for that game and how much things have changed since then. Those are probably the conversations or the personal reflections that maybe aren't even held out loud that are happening during a game like that, where there is finality to it.
Dude, like I joked with you guys a few years ago about me being an ordained minister, right? I mean, I fucking married people at the Coliseum, and I see these people reach out to me. I mean, it's fucking, oh man, Mike, Linda, you'll never hear this, but I love you, man. One of the highlights of my fucking life, dude. Like, somebody likes you enough or cares about what you've done in whatever realm you're in enough to where they're like, you know what? I like this team in the Bay and I like this team in the Bay, and we're going to get married. We want this dude to do it. Like, I married people at the fucking Coliseum, Giants fan, A's fan, Union. Like, it might seem small or minor to other folks. That's shit that just, like, what? I'm going to marry someone because I played baseball? And that's just how much they love what they've had going for so long.
Yeah. Yeah. What's the date of the last game at the Coliseum?
26th.
I mean, I feel like we should definitely fucking send someone out to document your day. Would you be down for that?
Yeah, I've already started to kind of, I think, make plans. And
I mean, we've got a guy that's the fucking best in the business at what he does in terms of documenting things. He's standing right out there. He's done all of our YouTube shit. You've spent a week with him in Dallas, Texas. There he is. Yeah, if we could send out fucking Eamon to come say hi. Come here. There he is. Yeah.
Easy. What's up, baby?
We could send him out there and document your last day at the Coliseum. I feel like I know that in the moment, even now, you may be hesitant to do that, but 5-10 years from now, you're going to want that memory for sure.
Yeah. You know, it's like we had alumni Sundays and we just had the very last, man, I'm sorry. Like it was a heavy weekend, dude. Cause we had the last Hall of Fame induction, lost Oakland A's Hall of Fame induction. There will never be another Oakland A Hall of Famer. And there are so many guys that deserve the acknowledgement. There are so many guys that deserve to be pedestalized and to be immortalized for this franchise. And then that are never going to get that. And that is fucking heartbreaking. To see Terry Steinbach be brought in and celebrated and introduced, basically brought up by Carney Lansford, which is really cool because if you're A's fans, you know that Carney brought Steiny under his wing and made him his dude, right? You're going to come with me. I'm going to teach you how to do this. We're going to ball together and it's going to be great. It's going to be a good life, kid, if you just follow me. And I've got to hang out with these dudes and call these guys friends now the last 7+ years, and watching the emotion from Terry Steinbach when his best friend in the world now to this day, Carney Lansford, who's in the Hall of Fame, the Oakland A's Hall of Fame, call him up and put his jacket on him. And to hug Steiny, like this hug is a hug like I'd never had from Steiny before. Just the fucking squeeze, and he wouldn't let go, and the eye contact afterwards, and it said everything that he didn't say to me. And Miguel Tejada, what a beautiful fucking human being, man. You just never know what people think about or the emotion that they have going on in their mind when something like that's happening. And to have the acknowledgement, he was like tearful. He just was. You just don't get a lot of emotion like that from guys. And Miggy was such an incredible motivator. And like, guys tell stories about him all the time. Ellie, when Mark Ellis was down there with me, he was talking about how Miguel Tejada, like he's like, the guy wouldn't shut the fuck up, Dallas. Like he wanted me to, I feel like he wanted me to get 10 hits every day. I was a rookie. He wanted me to like, just, you learn about these dudes. And then watching Jose Canseco was, I watched Mark McGwire enter and you could feel the emotion. And I talked to Mac after and shared the stories and you could feel the emotion. Didn't talk to Jose, obviously. But that's a man who deserves to be immortalized by this franchise. And I'm glad he got that opportunity because you could hear in his heart and in his words, there was a lot of weight with every word. He couldn't get words out. And I'm glad that happened to him for a good reason. Because maybe he can get some of that out and get some of that off his chest that allows him to find peace in this game in a way that maybe he hasn't before. And if being immortalized by his peers and by the fans who helped create that 40-40 monster, then God damn it, he deserved it. And I'm glad he got it. Just sucks that it'll never happen again, man.
Is the three-headed monster in the A's Hall of Fame?
No.
What? Miguel Tejada is, but not fucking Mulder, Zito, and Hudson? Are you fucking serious? Jesus Christ. We're going to have to do a segment with Jay Hay where he knocks on Miguel Tejada's door to take away his Hall of Fame status and give it to Mulder, Zito, and Hudson. Jesus Christ. But thank you, Dallas, for sharing that. I'm sure A's fans appreciate it. I'm sure all baseball fans appreciate it. I think it's every baseball fan's worst nightmare to have to experience what A's fans are dealing with right now, especially you, someone who is a fan of the team, played for the team, and is a broadcaster for the team, and has so many relationships with people who have come through the organization and are fans of the organization. It's an impossible situation for you personally. So, yeah, we'll tap back into that story as I don't even want to call it a milestone, but just as notable dates arrive, we can tap back into that. And yeah, just consider, Mike Eamon best in the business at what he does. I think that you're going to want to have that memory documented, and we have someone in-house who's the best at doing that. So we'll revisit that. But the MLB season is in full swing, and Underdog Fantasy wants to make it a lot more interesting. Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports. Playing their pick'em game is as simple as selecting higher or lower on player stats, strikeouts, total bases, home runs, and so much more. Make entries of all baseball, or you can mix and match across your other favorite sports. You can win up to 100 times your money, and it's a ton of fun. Hey, I feel like we haven't done like a podcast themed promo in a while. I feel like we should come up with one. What do you got?
Ooh, on the spot. I mean, they do love Skeens, man. Everybody loves Skeens.
Mm-hmm.
You know who else might be interesting is the tear that Vlad Jr. has been on recently. I feel like he resonates on a national level.
But like people, I love Vladdy. I feel like he's got his haters because of like the cinema, and this is going to be a movie and stuff like that. Like Skeens, I feel like is universally loved because he is the next coming. He's backed it up, and he hasn't said anything or done anything stupid yet.
Well, certainly.
And he's also given Gary Sinise money for punch outs. So,
yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that anybody resonates on the Skeens level. But, just because somebody has their haters doesn't necessarily mean that that's bad for promo purposes because, as we know, the beauty of higher or lower is that you can always go lower.
Mm-hmm. All right. Let's workshop something around Vladdy Jr. for this week.
Or Polly Punch Outs.
Or Polly Punch myself. Yeah, we'll do one of those. Shout out to the Mets. Make sure you sign up with the promo code Jared. That's JARED to get up to $1,000. Holy shit, Jake. Is that a typo?
No, that's the new promo, baby.
Holy fuck. Make sure you sign up with the promo code Jared. Write this down. Holy shit. JARED to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash and a special pick on Underdog. That's Underdog Fantasy promo code Jared. Nobody does it like the dog.
And as far as I know, this is the only podcast where I've heard that $1,000. It could be all over, so you may want to check out all the Underdog podcasts. But as far as what I've heard in my ear, this is the first one.
Holy shit! $1,000 in bonus cash. If you haven't signed up yet, what are you doing? My God. Anyways, one last shout out. Baseballisdeadmerch.com. Get all the BID merch. I know you guys have been yelling at me for it. I didn't have anything to do with it. I've been trying. We've been pushing. Shout out to Corey with the designs. He was fucking incredible. He does our graphics for the YouTube, for the social. He's incredible at what he does, and he stepped up big time with this merch drop for BID. But yeah, last night was the Little League Classic, Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN, where the Tigers walked off the Yankees. Clay Holmes, buddy. If, we talk about J-Hay taking away MVPs from guys. We talk about J-Hay giving Hall of Fame nods in the Oakland A's Hall of Fame to people that are deserving. Can we please take away Clay Holmes' All-Star nod for the season? Because there is not a person that is less deserving of their All-Star nod this year other than Clay Holmes.
Yeah, I think it was kind of bizarre at the time too, wasn't it? We talked about it. Didn't we do the Kimbrel, Jansen, Clay Holmes thing? And there weren't really many statistics, if any, that Clay Holmes was the best at the time. So kind of a mysterious pick, given that the Yankees were not like want for candidates to fill all-star slots. So if anybody has anything in particular to say about the game, I'm all ears. I would be more curious. I think the Little League World Series would be on the short list for future BID on the ground stunts. Dallas, you've been there. Are you backing me up on that, or is that a bad idea?
To go to the Little League World Series?
Correct. To go to Williamsport and do video content around stuff at Williamsport.
Initially, yes, Jay, it's a great idea. The biggest hurdle there, I think, as far as content goes, is just access to the kids, access to the players.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah. You're probably not going to put any of the. Maybe less. Yeah, I guess you got to get clearance for all the kids, right? Yeah, so that's probably a bad idea, is what it is.
Well, I always go back to to my time there.
That's what I'm saying.
This isn't a knock on what I remember they were like, hey, you got any ideas you want to do? And I was like, actually, I got a fucking great idea. Let's go up to the village and we're going to do a bat flip contest. I'll throw to the kids. They'll fucking jack homers. They'll do their bat flips and we'll vote on bat flips.
I vividly remember that pitch. Yep.
Yes. And they were like, oh my God, no, we cannot do that. Oh my God, you want to pit these children against each other? You want to have them flipping bats in the village? What are you doing? No, it's like, it's like I was like, hey, you guys, I don't even know what example to give. It was like I asked the most egregious thing you could ask. And they were like, we absolutely cannot do that. And I was taken aback. I was like, well, why? I don't understand why. Like you see these little fucks flip these bats a mile high, celebrating. They got awesome dances and shit going on. Like, let's highlight that. Let's do that. And they were like, God, no, we can't put that on TV. And now today, here we are watching what happened. So I had an absolute blast, but I think a lot of that is just because I got to talk to the kids. I was playing ping pong with them. I was sliding down the hills with them, doing all the dumb shit you do out there. It's a great time. It's a great time. And I would say for true purists, for true baseball fans, where you don't care who's playing, you heard the crack of the bat, you want to go catch a couple innings down the street somewhere. Like if that's you, get your ass to Williamsport. Because there's not much else to do around there outside of watch Little League Baseball. Say hi to my buddy Clyde. He's got a couple snakes and alligators that you can touch. But outside of that, it's Little League Baseball and it's awesome. I had an absolute blast. Like bucket list items. Bucket list items, in my opinion, go like this. Spring training, College World Series, Little League World Series. Get those experiences in you.
We talked about doing the College World Series a bunch of times and it just never kind of came to fruition. I think it's more so, there's definitely an audience for it. I just don't know that it's our audience. I would love to, I tried for a few years to cross, bring the college baseball fans over here. But it's like, if you're only into college baseball, you're probably not going to care about the bulk content that we do over here. And
there's so much that goes into the college baseball scene too, Jared, like college baseball content. There's so many different avenues. And look, I'm going to tell you straight up, it's not untapped because there are folks who do it really well. It's just in terms of like that big mainstream nut that everybody's looking to crack. It's not that. Mm-hmm. So like, you're keeping up with the transfer portal, like NIL deals and stuff like that are impacting player movement and roster construction. And this kid was at Tech last year. Now he's at A&M. Like you're following shit like that.
Well, think of how, people claim that Major League Baseball is a regional sport.
Yeah.
Like, let alone college baseball. You know what I mean?
Right. Where the conferences and all that.
They're literally grouped by regions, of where the schools are located. But, I enjoyed my experience at the Little League World Series, but I agree. It's probably the two World Series may not cross over, I guess.
Yeah, there's so much content.
Yeah, like I'm not saying I wouldn't do it. I think we would just kind of have to. I think the way that we thought about doing it before was to kind of like cater to college baseball fans to bring them on with what we were doing. Whereas now I think it's more so we go and do it our way to entertain our existing fan base. And if there are college baseball fans that discover us that way and they're like, oh, I like MLB too, and they find us that way. But I feel like we can do it in a way where we're not necessarily trying to cover college baseball so much as we're trying to showcase what the experience of being there is.
Those are, yes. And those are two very different things, because to cover college baseball is one, we're keeping you updated, nuance, blah, blah, blah. The experience, I'm telling you right now, man, there are days where I wish that I would have been born in the South, and it would have just been ingrained in me that you're going to grow up and you're going to go to this school. Why? Because grandmammy and grandpappy and their grandmammy and grandpappy went to this school, and damn it, you're going to go to this school too. Like it or not, shut up. And then from there, you're just an absolute fanatic. Like I can't live without, I can't live without knowing what the fucking badminton team did at this university. I can't live without knowing what the synchronized swimming team did at this university. Because you know when college baseball season hits, that's all you're getting from me. I'm moving to the fucking field. And you're following these tailgating parties. And I've talked about my time at Texas Tech and what that was like, man. If you set up shop and you go to a big rival series like that, it's fucking electric. And that's what we would be showcasing, is that sort of vibe.
Yeah. I mean, credit to the people that do cover it and do it well, because I mean, it's kind of like, I don't know if it's the perfect comparison, but like UFC, where like the top fighter is going to change constantly, because like the guys retire and it's not scripted. So you can't just like book your top star to win all the time. So a guy can just be on top and then boom, he's fucking out of there. Or she. And it's kind of like that with like college sports. You know, your top star is going to be there for 3 years, maybe. So yeah. What about you, Joe? You are you into college baseball at all?
No.
Okay.
Joe ain't here for that amateur shit, huh?
No, dude. It's just a lot to keep up with, man. There's a lot of baseball games in general. So if you're going to do double the baseball games, good luck to you. And that's triple, quadruple the amount of baseball games. There's 3,000 college baseball teams.
Yeah. That's why I'll tune in March when it's spring. Like I can't do spring training. Like the people that overanalyze spring training games are fucking idiots. It's just none of that means anything. It's not competitive baseball. There's no stars playing full games. Guys aren't trying their hardest. So I can't do spring training baseball. So that's when I'll tune into college, because those games, like every game means something. Yes, Jay.
I just not to do a whole spring training thing, but I actually I'd argue in some senses spring training is more interesting to consume now than it maybe has ever been, because of the type of data that we're getting. Like, and I mean, Dallas clearly agrees with what I'm saying, but like you can, like before it was like, I'm with you. You're like, oh, a guy's ERA is 1.5 over 12 spring innings. It's like, you were told, put that in the trash. That doesn't mean anything. And more often than not, you were correct about that. But now it's like, well, this guy's fastball is up 3.5 miles per hour. This guy's added this new breaking ball that has this level of break. And it's like, it's got this profile and it totally changes what he's going to look like as a pitcher, whatever. I hear what you're saying. I find it to be like more fascinating than it's ever been, because I'm looking for different stuff that I wish was available 15 years ago or whatever.
It's everything you wanted, it's everything that I appreciated about the expansive 40-man roster in September that a lot of other people don't, and a lot of other people look at me like I'm a goddamn psycho. Dallas, you want 40 people up there in the big leagues in September? Yes, I do. I absolutely do. And now what you have is, you know what? We got a kid in AA that we like. Let's see how he does against the Max Fried curveball today. Let's see how that goes, right? And then on the flip side of that matchup is, all right, Max Fried's not going to be throwing his curveball today, but what he is doing is he's working on this. And so you can now take that data, to Jay Hayes' point, and examine it and look at the growth of a guy who's working on stuff, and then look at the ability of a prospect to get to stuff. Because now you're taking a look at the swing from the prospect. Oh shit, that was a 78 mile an hour swing with an exit velocity of 97 miles an hour. Did he just barrel up Max Fried's cutter that he's working on? Oh shit. And so like you walk away with all of that, as opposed to just the broad stroke of, well, don't worry about the outing. I know that young kid hit a homer off Max Fried, but Maxie's just working on shit. He'll be fine come the regular season. And you're like, well, what's he working on? Well, now we have those data points and you can see what's being worked on, and you can see the matchup between the kid in AA who's knocking on the door, and how he stacks up against the big dog who's been eaten in the show.
Yeah, I'm intrigued. I'd still do it. But if you were to power rank those that we were talking about, like I would like to go to the Little League World Series itself. I never got to make it to Williamsport. I went to the regionals because Saugus was in it. And just a little teaser. So the Saugus Little League World Series team went to the Little League World Series in 2003. They were second in the country and fourth in the world. And Dario Pisano was on that team. Later got drafted by the Mariners, ended up in the Mets organization. And we're going to have him on. I mean, we can have him on either pod, doesn't matter. But he's doing a fundraiser for MS. And he reached out and was like, how do we figure out something to help promote this? So I was like, we'll have you on the podcast. So he's doing like a MS night at Fenway next month. So we're gonna help promote that, help raise money. His mom has MS. But yeah, he was part of that Saugus team that went to the Little League World Series. And I remember going to like Connecticut for like the regional games, but never made it to Williamsport. I would fucking love to take in some of that action at Williamsport. It's just like the purest form of the game.
It truly is. I knew I was in for a treat when I walked in and I saw Crookie and that fucking just huge chuckle laugh. And like, he was so excited to be watching Little League. I was like, yeah, this is where I need to be right here. Did
you see them play like just like US versus US, or did you see like US versus like the global teams?
Saw it all. Global teams. Yeah. The qualifiers and the whole thing.
Joseph fucking would probably die to go see Japan play Little League baseball.
I would love to see Japan. I would rather go to the Koshin personally.
Yes.
That would
be. Oh my God.
I think I would put that above any other little event you mentioned there. That would be mind blowing. And it's going on right now.
Joe. Joe, and did you see the fucking highlight? Did you see the clip that they brought the fucking kid in from the outfield?
Yes.
And put him in front of the pitcher.
If he dies, he dies.
How about that? Hey,
who cares?
Jared, get in here from right field. Where do you want me, Dal? Right in front of me. Well, aren't you pitching? Yeah. But we need this out, dude. So you just get off to the side of me, all right? And if he hits it hard right at you, try to catch it. If you don't and it hits you, that's fine. I'll be here to pick it up and we can throw him out, but I just need you right there. All right? Just like 10 feet away from the hitter. Cool? I was like, excuse me?
That's what baseball is all about. Risking your life to become the number one high school team in the world.
That is
called
on
line, dude.
How long is that flight? How long is the flight to Japan, Dallas?
3-4 hours.
16 hours. 9 from Hawaii. So if you want to meet me in Kauai, it's all good.
I mean, I've always wanted to go to Hawaii. I've like Pearl Harbor is like one of my last remaining travel destinations that I really want to see.
Bro. I told you about my trip to Pearl Harbor.
Mm-mm.
I had fucking dinner with the Admiral of the Navy on his boat in Pearl Harbor.
That's pretty badass. I mean, like that's what I want to do.
You want to know what we had for dinner?
What'd you have for dinner?
Hot dogs, peanuts, and Cracker Jacks. Because
I would have been like, bro,
food.
where's the lobster at?
He wanted ballpark food. Yeah, but I've walked the tarmac. I've walked the grounds of Pearl Harbor. Hands in the mortar marks. Like all across you talk about emotional? Man, you can feel it.
I want to like, would you recommend going around the anniversary or not? Because I feel like you would probably want less people there than this whole thing.
It depends on what you're there for. Seriously. Like if you're there to just take it in at your own pace, yeah, sure. Find a random Wednesday. But if the gravitas of the situation is something that you're looking to tap into and feel. I have been there in December. It is, yeah, dude. Like I honestly won't even try to put into words like what that's like, watching individuals who have served. And they told a story. They told us a story when we were there, and this was, 10 years ago, about an individual who would show up. He was an old fella, and his whole thing was, my buddies are down there, right here. You're coming here to look, and my buddies are still down there. And he was very combative with folks who were not American, and they had to sort of reel him in and be like, hey, look, we're never going to tell you to leave here. We're never going to not let you here, but you got to work with us a little. And they said after having that conversation with this guy, his entire perspective shifted, and he would now greet individuals who might be coming from Japan to experience this from their perspective. And instead of being met with the vitriol from this individual, they were met with open arms. And that made all the difference in the experience for some of these folks. And I was fortunate enough to sort of watch that unfold. And that's why I say I'll never try to even, I don't know what that's like, man. I'm just a bystander watching it go down. It's fucking heavy though, man. Heavy. If you're into American history, tap in.
Yeah, that's probably my number one travel destination that doesn't have to do with baseball is Pearl Harbor. But yeah, we can go to fucking Pearl Harbor, and then from there we can go to Japan. I mean, Dallas has been trying to get me to go to Japan for quite some time. Jay, hey, would you be down to go to Japan?
Oh, 1,000%. Yeah.
I feel like if we went to Japan, I feel like Joe's staying. Like, I don't think he's coming back.
Because I have the Japanese way about me, right? It's kind of the samurai zen.
It's that, but I feel like you're also just so ingrained in Japanese culture. Like, you're fascinated by it more than the average just curious baseball fan. I feel like you'd be like, yeah, no. I mean, if baseball, like Dallas too, really, like baseball is a religion in Japan. I feel like Dallas could also be someone that just goes and doesn't come back.
Dude, you need to see the clip that I'm talking about, Jared. You guys need to find that clip of the kid being brought in and stuck right in front of the pitcher, because there's fucking 30,000 people at this high school game chanting in unison. I've been screaming this.
It's a great event. They just had a kid throw 185 pitches, shut out.
Yeah, and then Joey, he's starting today too.
Yeah,
that was a day ago. He's starting today.
They had a kid pass out of a heat stroke in the opening ceremony. He's probably still playing.
Yeah, they just moved him off to the side, put his head on the bag on third base, and he'll be fine.
Well, Jake, book what do they have in Japan? Is it a president? Is it an emperor? What do they have?
Prime Minister.
No. There's a prime minister of Japan?
I think so.
Yeah.
Dallas, what is it?
Yes.
It's a prime minister.
Yes. They also have, yeah. Okay.
Did he drop?
They might have an emperor too, dude. Low-key.
Low-key?
I don't know if they still do that. It's like the Queen King type.
Japan's still giving serious emperor, It's
yeah, I mean, I don't know. Every country's got something different going on. Jake, book the prime minister of Japan.
They do still have emperor stuff going on, quote unquote. Yeah. Both prime minister and emperor both hanging out in Japan, among many other people, presumably. But
so they do have an emperor.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, they got both?
They got it all.
Yeah.
Do they have a president?
The emperor ain't really doing shit though.
Yeah.
It's one of those sorts of things.
Yeah. It's just one of the many hats.
No. The emperor is like the king.
If Japan was like, I feel like Japan should just be like, we have one of each. Like, we have an emperor, a president, a prime minister, and a king.
Can I ask how you would envision an emperor and a king coexisting?
Well, they just do different shit, right?
Yeah. They've got different sectors.
All right.
Well, it feels like
not to get too in the weeds here, but like these are both like hereditary, like a monarchy. A monarchy. Right?
Mono equals one.
But we're acting like you can apply for these jobs, right? Is that what we're doing?
Oh, we're just like completely re-envisioning what these things
I'm just saying,
mean.
like, you know, like if maybe you grow up and you want to, you're like, you know what, I could do some emperor shit.
Yeah.
I don't want to do the king shit though. Like king shit is I'm here for the emperor shit. What's the emperor got to do?
Yeah.
King feels more like you're kind of like ruling the roost, and then maybe an emperor is like, you know,
the fun uncle,
foreign domination,
fun
uncle. Yeah, I wasn't really.
No?
Yeah.
That's probably on the emperor.
Well, the king's got the court jester, so he's probably, you know,
he's having a good time.
Shit's weird over at the king's house.
Yeah. Also, I was originally envisioning it like, you know, you break up Japan into quadrants, and like the king runs one, the emperor runs one, the prime minister, and then the president. But then that's how you have civil war. Is like the emperor is going to want more territory, and then the king is going to defend his, and that's the downfall of Japan, unfortunately.
Or you could just make Shohei all four of them.
Yeah, you could.
Or Decoy could be prime minister, Shohei could be president, and his wife could be the king.
The queen king.
Queen. Well,
whatever.
He's going back to your quadrant thing.
I was just saying,
yeah.
She could be.
Yeah, but imagine if he made Ippei the prime minister, the issues that Japan would have right now.
Yeah, Ippei not up for the treasury job anytime soon. I can tell you that.
No, they would be an economic ruin.
I believe Japan is in a lot of debt right now, so it kind of makes sense.
Well, I believe we. You know what? We don't need to get into that.
No,
Ippei was just about to run into a heater. They should reach out to him.
Yeah,
so close.
Yeah, we have $90 trillion in national debt because Ippei is the emperor of Japan.
Ippei is like, look, we were this far away from that high-speed rail between us and New York. All right, just stick with me here. The pirates are calling this lefty up. I gotta.
Ippei catching strays on a random Monday. What's the update on that, Joe? Has there been an update on that case?
Not that I know of. I saw some pictures of him in court. He runs in and runs out, and then they had him doing DoorDash, which was kind of funny. He was or sad, but they had pictures of him allegedly doing DoorDash.
Oh, you mean working?
Yeah, because now he's not a big shot interpreter. He's got to do deliveries. But as a high profile criminal, DoorDash is probably not the best business to be in. They have paparazzi. Imagine you order fucking Chipotle and the DoorDasher shows up with like 20 paparazzi. Like, what the fuck?
You go to the door naked to grab your fucking burrito, and there's just 30 flash bulbs going off behind you.
You know Ippei's pissed. No tip? What the fuck?
Is this
$1?
about the guac? What's the problem? Damn.
So according to reports, not well. It's not going that good for Ippei.
It's not going that good. Okay. I was just asking. I didn't know. Well, what I do know is you got to use the Game Time app. I was actually just telling one of my buddies about the Game Time app. He said, I want to take my son to his first baseball game. And he showed me a screenshot of a message that some guy sent him being like, hey, if you want these tickets, $85. And then he asked me if it was a good price. And I said, you know where to find a good price? The Game Time app. And you know what? If you sign up with the promo code BID, you get $20 off. So no, it's not a good price. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out all the fluff to show you only the incredible deals on great seats. You don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Again, I just recommended Game Time to one of my buddies. He was like, hey, these seats, good price? No, why don't you check the Game Time app? And then he ended up using it. Then he used the promo code and saved himself. I think he got like really good seats for like $50. They were better seats for less money. Game Time Picks, the curation makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. The all-in pricing, when you toggle that feature, it shows the total upfront with no surprise fees at checkout. Get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. The lowest price guarantee, your Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry today. Take the guesswork out of buying concert tickets and MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the promo code BID for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, use the promo code BID for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. This is an interesting thought from Justin Havens this morning. Are we suddenly at risk? And I completely agree. I went and looked at it and I was like, you motherfuckers got a great point. Are we suddenly at risk of not having much competition for the postseason spots with 6 weeks left? And if you look at the MLB standings, we're not talking division races. Like there are plenty of division races, like the AL East is still up for grabs. You've got a 3-team race for the AL Central. Seattle slip sliding the other way, but 4 games back of Houston. And then you have a 3-team race between the D-backs, Padres, Dodgers in the NL West. So division races, yes, still up for grabs. We can debate seedings and all of that. But the Red Sox, after losing on Sunday to the Orioles, they split a 4-game set in Baltimore, are 3.5 back of the Royals, who, by the way, have a plus 109 run differential. Like when you look at the teams that are in and then the teams are on the outskirts, it's kind of like, yeah, this is how it probably should be. You've got the Yankees at plus 116, the Twins at plus 70, the Royals at plus 109, and then the teams on the outskirts are the Red Sox and Mariners at plus 25 and plus 24. Every other team in the American League has a negative run differential. Then in the National League, you have the Padres at plus 70, the D-backs at plus 70, the Braves at plus 50, and then you have the Mets 2 games back at plus 29. Then you have 2 teams with negative run differentials. The Cubs at plus 4. The Reds somehow 6 games back with like 5 teams in front of them. They're plus 30. Then the rest are negative. So in the American League, it kind of feels like this is, at least by the way the teams have performed to this point, this playoff picture feels appropriate.
Yeah, set or that this is, I mean, not set.
Not
because
set,
you still
not set, but appropriate.
I mean, part of what triggered the thought was just like, I feel like we've talked about on this podcast, and I just remember Dallas saying it specifically that, you know, the upside of the, like, let's maybe lower the standard for what it takes to get into the postseason is that you're going to end up with some great postseason races between teams. We can debate exactly how good some of these teams are, but like, the standings suggested basically all season long that that's exactly what we were going to get. And again, we could have a debate on whether this is the best format or whatever, but like, that's sort of what we were promised, quote unquote. And then you wake up and like a big chunk of this is in the AL, at least, is the Seattle Mariners. Like we've been going back and forth on like, hey, would you take the Astros, the Mariners? Like, how we feeling? Let's check the pulse today. You blinked, and this thing by the statistics is over almost. Like
Done.
The
Done.
Astros are at 80-something%. The Mariners are at 22%. And I look back at, like, we're recording on the 19th. They've gone from 88 to 55 to 22% on the 19th of every month, going back to June. It's crazy how quickly that team fell off. And in doing so, and the Red Sox just kind of floating at the same level that they've been at for a long time, it's kind of sucked the exact, like, some of the races that we thought we were getting in the AL out of it. And then in the NL, like, I guess you could say that maybe the odds should be a little tighter between the Braves and the Mets particularly if this Austin Riley injury is something. I mean, that would take a chunk out of the Braves' expected production, even if Riley hasn't been as good as he was. But I still think we're on the same page that the Braves are better. They are ahead in the standings. And even if we concede that race is closer between the two of them, it's still really just one of those two teams is likely to make it, because every other team in the NL is basically dead in the water by Fangraphs odds. Like the Giants and Cardinals. The Cardinals bought, like, what was that, 3 weeks ago? The Cardinals bought to supplement their team, and Fangraphs, like, argue with the odds if you want to. You could quadruple the odds and they'd still only be at 16%. Fangraphs has them at 4. They're basically the same as the Cubs now. And we were viewing these teams in almost completely different lights at the trade deadline 3 weeks ago. It's crazy how quickly some of this has coalesced.
And outside of the Mets, who are 2 out?
Yeah.
You go to the Giants, who are 4 out. You go to the Cardinals, who are 5 out. The Cubs down to 5.5 out. And then you go to the American League, and it feels like the Boston Red Sox have a significantly stronger opportunity or better chance to be a part of that picture. And it even feels like the Seattle Mariners at 5.5 out have a significantly better opportunity. And I don't know why it feels that way. It just does than the other teams in the NL do to creep into that picture. And I'm okay with, let me ask you guys this question then. On the heels of having these races, so to speak, do we care that they're not between big powerhouses? Does that matter? Or are we okay with that they're, I don't want to call them meddling teams, but average teams?
The division races or the wild card race?
The wild card races.
I'm obviously biased here, but the Red Sox fighting for a spot is interesting, and it should be. I mean, they're a big market team. I mean, I know that they don't have like stars. It's not like the Padres, fighting or whatever, but
I would say maybe it's more reserved.
Get in's interesting.
Yeah, maybe it's more reserved for the NL.
Yeah,
like talking about the like, are we that enthralled with what the Giants and the Cardinals could potentially do? Do we care?
No.
And is it because they're just not great teams?
If the Pirates were in the spot that the Mets were in, then that's interesting. But they're not.
Yes. No, the Pirates have just quit playing baseball.
Yeah, the Giants to me, no. The Cardinals, no. The Cubs, I mean, I guess they're 3 games under 500. I don't foresee them getting hot and making it interesting. But I guess if the Cubs kind of like flipped on a switch and got hot in September and we were like, oh shit, the Cubs could actually get in, that could do it for me. Yeah.
And like, I'm not even, if it sounds like the premise is that I'm complaining, it's not. Like, I am excited for some of these division races, and the fact that some of these wild card races aren't, don't have 7 teams involved. Each season is going to be its own thing. But like, I went back and looked at last season, and at this point, this date in the NL last season, you had 5 teams between 30 and 55% odds. It was a completely different complexion of picture in the postseason, and it was definitely more open in the AL too. So like, this is just this season, and we're going to focus on the division races more. But I do think it sucks a little drama out of it when the battle for the division races doesn't include somebody going home if they miss out, right? Like, if we know all of these teams are going to make it, and we'll see if we actually get to that point, but we're close. Then that will make the last 2 weeks of the season feel a little longer than it probably should.
Because then all you're really doing is shuffling seeding, right?
Yeah, right.
That's all that's happening. And so you're just watching the bracket take shape. Like, who's going to be a part of the bracket. You're just basically seeing who's going to go where. So know who's in the dance. It's just a matter of who your dance partner is.
No question. And I'll be rooting for the Red Sox and the Mariners to keep this interesting. Like, I think the Royals are maybe the most interesting team of those 3, mostly because of what Bobby Witt would drive as a postseason, star or whatever. But like, I'm compelled by all 3 of those teams for different reasons, and I want to see that race persist. And like, I know there's a lot of Mets chirping that goes on, but like, I would love to see the Braves and Mets go back and forth for the remainder of the season, and for that to stay tight, because you would have despite one of those teams being in New York and the other being Atlanta, like, it would have a very upstart Mets team against this heavy favorite Braves supposed juggernaut over the last 2 or 3 seasons feel to it, I think, particularly because you'd have a falling from behind scenario in play as well. So I don't know. There's still a lot of potentially exciting outcomes. I just think the complexion of the races has changed pretty dramatically since we really started talking about it in earnest over the last 2 weeks.
I am heavily leaning on the Seattle Mariners. Heavily. Not saying that they're going to win. That's who I want to make noise in this, because I would love for them to take that group into the postseason, and everybody know they're going to hit a gnat's ass from 1 through 9 at home plate. And they're essentially walking in there with no offense. Can this staff, how far can you get these boys? How far can you put them on your back and just roll by getting outs. That's what that's where the Seattle Mariners, if they're going to have success, that's how it's going to come. I just want to see how long and how dominant it can be on the mound.
I feel like we're getting very close to knowing what that answer is that you said, and that the answer is that this pitching staff can't get this offense far enough. Like, I feel like we're
willing them, Jay.
I know, and I want to see it in the short series too, man. And I want to see these guys get their shot. I'm not rooting against them. I think the fan base stuff sucks for them, that they're having to endure. Like, this is maybe the most painful version of this experience for the Mariners in the last 5 or 10 years. But like, I just like, maybe at the end of the day, this formula of like a bottom 3 or 4 offense and a starting rotation that we're all in love with is only going to get this team to a 540 winning percentage. You know what I mean? Or whatever DePoto said the goal was at the start of the year. And I'm getting a little fatigued. I can't imagine how fans are, but like, I'm getting a little fatigued, like wish casting that this offense full of largely bad players plays better.
Well, yeah, because it's a futile exercise to just try to figure out mentally how you're going to plug offense into this lineup. You're going to go crazy trying to figure out how that's going to happen. That's why I just want, because I agree. I think you're right. When we have an idea of how far this can go, we're probably there. We've maxed it out. I mean, they can't throw shutouts every fucking time. They just can't.
It is frustrating. And that formula most certainly doesn't work in the postseason when, I know we've seen like the last few years, it's like whatever team out homers the other is going to win that series or that big game. And the Mariners just don't have that guy.
No.
But
it's literally impossible to envision that offense winning, 4 playoff series?
No.
It's never going to happen.
How do they, well, what you tell yourself is over the course of 11 games in the postseason, what sort of offense are we going to be able to generate?
Yeah.
Right? Like I'm not saying this out of the side of my mouth at all. I would absolutely take the Oakland A's offense and our ability to hit the home
100%.
run over the Seattle Mariners. You give the Seattle Mariners the Oakland offense with their pitching staff, I like the Seattle Mariners' chances of making a little noise. Not telling you they're taking you to fucking Game 7 of the World Series, but I'm telling you that I like their chances.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to have a worse batting average than the White Sox, but the Mariners have taken over that spot as the worst batting average in the league.
Jeez.
Worse than the White Sox.
How's the OPS stack up?
The OPS stacks up. I could tell you that in a minute, but I'm going to guess it's not fucking great. They're 28, so they're doing a little better than the White Sox and the Marlins. But other than that, if they're not playing the White Sox or the Marlins, they're going to be behind the 8 ball when it comes to offensive production per OPS.
Behind the 8 ball. Thanks, Joe. I mean, I'm looking at it now, and the league average OPS is 714. The Mariners team OPS is 669. And then the Marlins are 658. The White Sox are 623. So
it would be pretty amazing though to have the worst offense in the league, arguably. I mean, I still think the White Sox are worse.
Well,
but for them to actually make the playoffs with batting .216, which could never happen, but maybe.
The Mariners are actually, if you go runs per game, it's 397 for the Mariners, 393 for the Rays, 368 for the Marlins, and 310 for the White Sox.
For Mariners fans, you have to be like, are you looking at all your position players going, none of you? Like, we got all the guys on the mound that are doing what they're doing.
We've
got an entire group.
We really should, this shouldn't even be a negative. This team should be celebrated. To have the offense that bad and still be 5.5 games back of a playoff spot is pretty amazing. I mean, when it comes to
5.5 back of a playoff spot. They were like in a playoff spot the last time we recorded a podcast on Monday. I feel like
they had a 10-game lead over the Astros. They blew a 10-game lead faster than any team in MLB history.
I know what Joey's saying. Like
that
if you just woke up and this team with this unbelievably bad offense is within arm's grasp of a playoff spot. But like, you can't possibly actually feel that way when we know how they got to this point. Like,
you relinquished it.
Yeah, like, and this is, dude. If I don't like to do the market size stuff or where you're located in the country, if this Mariners experience was happening to
East Coast,
you know all the teams that it would be relevant towards. It would be front page news every single day of the week as far as baseball is concerned. Like, this sucks. Like, to Joey's point, a 10-game lead to a 5-game deficit in 2 months. Like, I know it's a prolonged period of time at this point, but like, it takes a lot to lose 15 games to a team in the standings.
You just brought up something that how many teams on the West Coast operate in a similar fashion as the Seattle Mariners? Or is it, let me ask this
like financially or like,
yes. Is it fair to say that there's similarities to roster turnover and maybe lack of financial commitment on the whole on the West Coast, as opposed to what we see on the East Coast with teams who are sort of beholden to whether it's the media circus or their rabid fan bases, where you can't just stand idly by?
Sure.
Like if the Yankees had this sort of pitching staff and didn't have the offense that they had, wouldn't they essentially be forced by fire to supplement what they have going on?
Totally.
And I think you could say the same for the Red Sox. You could say the same for the Twins, or excuse me, for the Mets. You could say the same for the Phillies. I think you could say the same for a lot of these teams on the East Coast, but on the West Coast, where the industry forgets we play baseball, it feels like that's almost sort of a cloak that you can operate behind.
Yes, and
I don't know. I just kind of thought about
people after 20 years of losing. How long was it? The Mariners didn't make the playoffs for 20 years.
Yeah.
So the expectations are not very high in that fan base. They're used to this type of shit. They're not going to.
And that's what I'm getting at, Joe, is it's a combination of, okay, you haven't had the success. Now the fans are used to it. Now the fans are used to you operating this way. So in a world where you have conceivably a top 3 pitching staff in the entire sport, yet you do not have an offense that can keep you above water or even keep your fucking legs kicking, something's got to happen. And out here on the West Coast, just chilling. Chilling.
If you spend 2 decades making a concerted effort as an ownership group to fundamentally alter the fan base expectations as it relates to payroll and general year-to-year competition, you can achieve that goal. Because look no further than Cleveland for where that's been achieved basically as seamlessly as you can if you don't really care about record-breaking profits. They were a top spending team in the 90s, and then decided we're not going to do that anymore. Ownership changed, and now they're bottom 5 every single year, and that's what people expect.
I think there's something to it.
Could be.
Yeah. Sorry, but that's about it.
Go ahead.
Mariners.
Go ahead.
They did. I mean, they got Randy and they got Justin Turner, which is kind of, I think, more than I kind of expected the Mariners. And they did sign Julio Rodriguez to a long-term deal.
Yeah,
for sure.
I mean,
they're showing signs like they're trying.
Well, they're trying. I think. I mean, the Turner acquisition is you're only going to get so much there. I think the biggest. Go ahead, Jay.
Randy's been good. Like, Randy has a 121 OPS plus, which is better than what he was doing with the Rays and the exact mark that he delivered over a full season in 2023. The problem is that you can't have your best hitter be that level of quality. He's just, we talked about it right before. He's being asked to do too much if Randy Arozarena is your best hitter. And that's what intentionally or not, that's what he was forced into, him or Cal Raleigh, for the Mariners. And that's just, you say those names and we all know that's not the foundation of a playoff caliber offense. And it wasn't before the acquisition, and it wasn't after Justin Turner. Like, that's trying. We all liked that for what it was. That's a 39-year-old DH
Exactly.
with absolutely no power left in his bat. Like his on base percentage is intact, but like this is they're getting flawed players because they're willing to spend at a certain level and trade a certain level of asset right now. That's what you get.
That's it.
Today's the anniversary of the Nick Castellanos home run, the original one. We don't need to talk about it. I'm just pointing it out. Literally right after we finished our last podcast, it came out that there's a 6-inning proposal for starting pitchers. Why?
Because they know. Because they know what they know. They realize that they know what they know. They realize what's happened.
This is tinfoil cap, Dallas. I would like Joseph's opinion first. And then we can,
I don't know. That sounded more interesting than whatever the fuck I was
we'll get.
I'll tell you what the article said.
I'm not saying I don't want to hear what Dallas has to say. I'm just saying, like, before we get to the tinfoil cap stuff, like, let's get some more nuanced takes.
Well,
Joseph,
it's going to be great for the game. Starters are going to go longer. The players are going to be more marketable. You're going to see head-to-head matchups. Offense is going to go up because you're going to have the starters 3 times through the lineup. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
No more openers. They're going to get rid of openers.
Openers do suck.
Openers are out. Pitcher has to pitch 6 innings unless he gives up 4 or more runs in a start or pitches over 100 innings.
100 pitches. 100 pitches.
Innings. Or 100 innings. You can come out if you pitch 100 innings in a game too. And I believe there's one more qualifier. Did I miss anything?
Jay?
Did you say get hurt?
Yeah, get hurt.
Yeah.
But that's another interesting tidbit is that if you do come out of a game,
on the injured,
you have to go on the IL.
If you come out of the game with an injury, you have to go on the IL?
Have to. Mandatory IL stint, and that's to prevent manipulation, which again just leads us all to where I'll take you.
We'll get there. Joaquin Phoenix. We'll get there. Jay, your take?
I think it is the responsibility of the league to kick around ideas like this. And I think leaking it to Jesse Rogers or just telling him is a nice little trial balloon to see what the general sentiment is on an idea, maybe, or at least the first blush at an idea is. I think that's probably what's going on. I don't think it's I'll lay out after this for Dallas. My main takeaway is that I think of all the rules that Major League Baseball has implemented or attempted to implement, I think this would be the one that would come with the most unintended consequences that maybe we or probably the league have not fully thought through. And I would be kind of concerned given the parameters that are laid out for how it would work.
I think for me, what?
Yeah, well, I want to know the unintended consequences.
So I think if you're setting up a system where you are requiring people to hit a certain threshold, and if they don't, they have to go on an injured list for a prolonged period of time, I'm kind of wondering how like roster shuttling would work. I'm interested how it would work as far as compensation for minor league players, or what would become in my head right now kind of like hybrid major league minor league players. The G League is something that exists in basketball, and people are signed oftentimes to two-way contracts, which the basis is that you're compensated one way and then another way, depending on what sort of roster you are, and there's the flexibility to go back and forth between the two. I would want to see how all of that is worked out, and whether we can work in player compensation earlier in careers instead of waiting for free agency as part of this. Like, there's just a lot going on with service time and stuff like that. Would be the first kind of thing that would go in my head. I'm sure there are a lot more.
Yeah, for me, before we get to Dallas's sane take on this, I love the idea of getting rid of the opener, but it's just very hard to do unless you're all in on an idea like this, where I don't necessarily love slapping a 6 in it. Like, you got to go 6 innings unless you give up 4 earned or get hurt or reach 100 pitches. I don't love it. I think it takes some of the strategy out of it. I think like if a manager is seeing a guy like fatiguing a little bit, it's like, all right, he's at 2 earned runs, but it's 7 hits. He's walked 3. He's at 84 pitches. The manager is going to know his guy. Like maybe he told him going in, like, I don't feel great today, but I can give you 5. And he got you 1 out in the 6th. And it's like, I'm not at these limitations. Like I'm not at 100 pitches. I'm not hurt. And I haven't given up 4 earned. Like it kind of takes out some of the skill. So you can't have the best of both worlds. I would love to be able to say, you can't use openers, but like, how do you police that?
You could just say like, no, 3 innings max, or make it a 3-inning thing. You have to pitch 3 innings.
That would get rid of 4. Even 4. I mean, like I've seen openers that go 3, and it's still like it feels like an opener. You can have a stretched out reliever give you 60 pitches and go 3. I don't know. I guess like no, I don't like watch like any day that I look at the fucking probables and I see an opener, I'm like, ugh, like. It's just, it feels like a wasted day of my life. Like, I'm just like, I'm going to get to watch the Red Sox today, but not really. Like, we're not actually trying. I hate it. So, Dallas, the floor is yours.
Well, what you guys are talking about is the butterfly effect. We know. And they're not called split contracts or 2-way contracts. It's just understood that there's 2 sides to your deal. So you sign, and if you are in the minor leagues with us, this is what you make. When you get to the big leagues, you will make a prorated amount of this. And so they have that going on.
Sorry, I didn't mean to suggest that I didn't realize that people made major league money when they were on the major league team. It felt more, maybe I should have said it, that system feels a little bit more open for abuse than maybe the current system was, when you're going to be shuffling people onto an injured list in situations where maybe you didn't anticipate it. I guess you can't always anticipate injuries. I don't know. I just think there is a lot of unanswered stuff.
Well, that's and what happens right now in the big leagues is exactly what you're talking about. There is roster manipulation, and it comes in the form of, hey, you're only going to be able to give us X amount. You're going to hit the list so that we can get another fresh guy up here. Why? Because we like you. We don't want to send you through waivers. There's just a whole lot of different shit that factors into that. So that happens all day long. It will take executives literally an hour to figure out all of the loopholes that have now been exposed and created and how to jump through those. So it won't be long until they have their answers in that regard. But how many different ways can you say you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube? You can't put the genie back in the bottle. Pick yours, all right? But this all goes back to compensation, and it all goes back to where our sport is at, where it's come from, and what we're trying to do in terms of maximizing opportunity. Velocity is what provides you that opportunity. And what you are asking these people to do is figure out a balance in trying to maximize and achieve their chance to get to the big leagues and maybe not be their best. So can you try really hard to get here, but maybe not so hard they end up getting hurt and maybe you get overlooked? Because again, if all 5 of us are vying for the same spot in the rotation and we've all been asked to just sort of reel it in a little so we stay healthy, you want to know what happens? One of us is going to decide that we have to step on the gas so that we can separate ourselves. And you want to know what happens? That guy gets rewarded for separating himself. You want to know why? Because he's become the anomaly, and he's the guy that you'd rather have because he's throwing harder, longer, which means more of an opportunity for you to maximize what he's capable of doing. Are the other 4 of us going to get an opportunity to go, yeah, but I'm healthy and I'm not trying as hard like you told me? They're going to go, yeah, but this dude's got 4 more ticks on it. And that's going to help us get some swing and miss in a big spot. So
he told us he's also not trying very hard.
Yeah. And which makes him great, because if all of you aren't trying very hard and his stuff is just that much better, we're going to go with him. Do you understand? And you're going to go, Well, yeah, but fuck, what if I show up tomorrow and I'm throwing 2 miles an hour harder than him? Can I tell you that I'm still not trying as hard? And now do I get the opportunity? And I tell you what the executives are doing. They're going, yeah, you do. You will. You'll get the opportunity. I know. Don't tell anybody, but it's just between me and you. But yeah, you're going to be our guy. That's what ends up happening. And this all starts at, and I've heard them talk, this has to be implemented at the lower levels, at the amateur level. And I have felt this way about baseball for so long, that the game changes so much along the way. There's so many different adjustments that you have to make. But this will all be affected by financial compensation, as everything is in the sport. And I think we can start to ask questions about what that starts to look like later, record-wise, statistic-wise, the implications that may have. I think that's a conversation for later. But how you are mandating a team now, you're basically calling plays. It's like if the NFL mandated you got to run the ball at least twice in your 4-down series. What? Why? Or maybe you got to pass it. Well, because running back and the shelf life, like we know if they start to carry the ball 300 times, like this is what happens. And we can't do that to our sport. We're trying to bring back the prominence of the running back. All right. We want that to matter. So now you're telling me how I can use my running backs? And that's how I would look at it, is now you're telling me how I can use my arms? I have to? Let me give you an example. Clayton Kershaw, fairly important to what the Dodgers are doing right now. Really important to what the Dodgers are doing right now. His first start of the season, coming off the injured list, he went 4 innings. He threw 72 pitches. Clayton Kershaw would not have been allowed to make that start. Or he would have had to continue to go until he got to 100 pitches or gave up 4 runs. Well, he only gave up 2 runs. So how long does he got to go in his first start back? Then you fast forward to his last start that he just made. 6 innings, 70 pitches, and they lifted him. Okay, so what do we do now? He can keep going because he's got the 6 under his belt. Is that 70 pitches? There's just so many different things that get played here, or they get pulled here. I just don't like the idea of you telling a team how they have to use their players.
I don't either. I'm with you. I mean, I guess I can stomach the occasional opener. I think when it kind of gets to like the postseason, where you're just like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, don't. I want to see the best of the best. But
the best of the best, Jared, in terms of the athletes, are what you like to think you have. But it almost feels like what you're asking for is the best of the best brain trust and their performance. Because if they're the ones who are telling you that the opener is what gives them the opportunity to maximize the rest of the arms, then how do you look at them and argue with them? They're the ones making the decision, and they're the ones saying, no, starting this guy and getting him to take care of these first 3 outs, or maybe these first 6 outs, mathematically and based on our algorithms and our projections, that's the best way we can win.
Couple news and notes stuff here to round out the show. Dallas, Matt Chapman asked the A's for third base, and they gave it to him. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, very cool. A lot
you
of guys
talked to him?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, him. I mean, I talked to a lot of guys. I mean, honestly, I talked to Webby for almost like a half hour just sitting on the field. Bomel. Yeah, like I really don't want to go back through all that emotion because I could feel it from those guys, and it's shitty, man. Yeah, but it's really cool because a lot of the players too, and we do know that players listen to this, players' families listen to this. If you are a visiting player and you need that dirt, you don't need me to help you with that dirt, but if you need help with the dirt, we can get you the dirt. But a lot of players are scooping up dirt from their respective positions. You know, Mark Canha scooped up a bottle of dirt from
Send
the
me
batter's
some
box.
I want some dirt.
So a lot of players are taking the opportunity to soak it in, which is really cool to see.
Ketel Marte re-aggravated the ankle. I feel like I don't want to say it's a wrap in the MVP race if he can't continue, but I mean, like, he was the greatest threat to Shohei Ohtani. No?
What about Lindor? Lindor just passed him in WAR. Did you know that?
No, but I mean, Lindor's been a WAR darling all year. So that doesn't surprise me in the least bit.
Doesn't surprise you a little bit that Fransisco Lindor is 5th in the league in F WAR right now?
No, I mean, like, yes, if I wasn't paying close attention during All-Star voting, but I knew that he was up there during that time. So, but anyways, my guy Tyler Glasnow back on the IL with the elbow. What's the concern level there, do you think?
Well, they said it was for precautionary reasons, right?
So what's that, innings limit? Because they're trying to go on a deep postseason run, keep them fresh?
I mean, I think that could be masked in some, hey, yeah, there's some concern. There's some mild concern. His elbow doesn't feel great. He felt something there, and he thought he felt better, and then he played catch, and he felt something. So we're going to throw you the precautionary label. Isn't that what you do every time you put somebody on the injured list? Isn't that why you're doing it?
Mm-hmm.
For precautionary reasons, so as to not have this thing get worse.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think if they're saying that it's going to be at least a month, hopefully not long after, it's all just about how he feels and how he bounces back. But I think there is concern. I think there is concern based on what this rotation looks like. I just talked about Clayton Kershaw.
Well, he's a guy you cannot lose. Like, you can't lose Glasnow, and he's
no.
What is what are his innings up to? Is he at a career high already?
I think so.
Yes, absolutely.
He must be. He is currently sitting at 134 innings, and his career high was $120 last year.
Yeah,
and he's got an ERA over 5 the past over a month since July. So he's kind of on a downward swing already. He's already gone on the IL, which could have been a phantom IL thing.
Well,
I mean, but yeah, anything the Dodgers, any injury for the Dodgers is concerning. They're all hurt, especially the pitchers.
Yeah, and you're asking Clayton Kershaw, and Kershaw's been, in terms of what he's done since he's come back, I think he's given you everything that you could hope for or expect from him, all things considered. I mean, they've referred to him as, sort of the stopper right now. 2 out of the 3 games that the Dodgers have won that he started have come after a loss. So do with that what you will. That matters. And I think the fact that they've acknowledged that is also something to take note of, because I think they're acknowledging quietly Kershaw's been great for us right now, and we've needed him to do what he's done for us since he's got back. I think we also know that things change in the postseason, and what he's capable of in the postseason, in terms of the swing and miss and dominance, that's a different story.
Yeah.
So we love what he's given us right now, but we lose Glasnow, and he's the guy that we slide in to try to. Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, I don't see Kershaw seeing a 5th inning. I don't care if he's got a no-hitter. You really think the Dodgers are letting him see like the 5th in a playoff game?
Depends on the stress of the innings leading up to it.
But that's just the thing with Kershaw. I tweeted this yesterday. Like, he's been washed for like 4 years. Everyone's like, he's declining. He's got like a 2.7 ERA the past 4 seasons. Like, when he pitches, he's good, but that doesn't mean that there's not like concerns. How deep can he go? He's not.
I saw this tweet. About some, I don't know who sent it out there. I just was thumbing through it, but basically they were blaming Don Mattingly for the legacy of Clayton Kershaw in the postseason, and like walking through the outings and the game situation. And, there was a sizable lead. Action starts to happen. Nobody's up. Runs start getting scored. Nobody's up. Mound meeting. Nobody's up. more damage. It was an interesting walk back through how things have been handled with Kershaw on the mound. But yeah, I'll tell you right now, the Dodgers go from being in a good spot to being in trouble with no Glasnow.
Yeah.
I had no problem saying that.
Okay. Jay, some nugs?
Yes, sir. Blake Snell, another hot little outing over the weekend. He's the second pitcher in Giants franchise history, the seventh pitcher ever, and the first lefty overall since Johan in 2004 to have an 8-start stretch during which he allowed 20 or fewer hits. Think about that. 20 hits allowed in 8 starts. And that's with a minimum of 50 innings. So it's not like we're doing some funky math either. The only other guy in Giants history is a man named Ferdy Shupp back in 1916. So Snell's heater continues. Corbin Carroll, more evidence that he's back over the weekend. First 92 games, 3 homers and a 613 OPS. Last 29 games, he's got 10 homers and an OPS of 1.010. Ohtani watch is officially on for 40-40. He's now at 39-37.
Excuse you.
What's that?
50-50, Buster.
Well, he
Some
has to do 40-40. You literally can't get to 50-50 until you get to 40-40.
That's
a fact.
Literally,
That's a fact, Joe.
Well, if you're on pace for 50 homers and 49 steals, I would say he's on 50-50 watch. I wouldn't say 40-40 watch.
Well, only 5 people have ever done 40-40. So we probably want to celebrate that first. Looking to become the 6th player ever to get 40-40. He obviously 1 homer and 3 stolen bases away. Then we can move our attention to something even more grandiose like 50-50. And wouldn't that be exciting? Ellie also, we're on watch for Ellie, 20 homers and 60 steals. That has been a painful watch for anybody who's locked in on that like I am. That's been tough. I think Corey built that graphic 13 days ago. I looked into my email. So we're rooting for Ellie. He would be the 5th player ever to join the 2060 club. And we'd be blessed enough to have it happen for 2 consecutive seasons with obviously Ronnie last year. Brandon Lau, not a lot of love on this podcast. I can't even remember the last time we talked about him. First 36 games, 5 homers, a 727 OPS. Last 8 games, 11 homers, 963 OPS. Final 2 nugs. Vlad Jr., he's beating the Billy Butler comparisons that some people on the internet were tossing around earlier this year. He's now one of 11 players in AL history to have a stretch over 27 games where he hit 440 with 12 homers and a 1,400 plus OPS. And he's the first player to do so in the AL since, coincidentally, another Blue Jay, Carlos Delgado, 24 years ago in 2000. And then fun little nugget. Obviously, it was the first time that 3 players named Jackson have tripled. But when Holiday, Jackson Chourio, and Merrill all tripled on the same day over the weekend, it was the first time that 3 players aged 21 or younger tripled on the same day in almost 47 years. August 27th, 1977, when future Hall of Famer Robin Yount, along with Jack Clark and Terry Poole, did so in 1977. So kind of cool that all 3 of those guys are clicking and look like future studs at the same time.
Dallas, final thoughts?
Yeah. I'm gonna shout out Framber Valdez. Well, Framber's been fucking dealing. 8-0, 2.39 ERA his last 10 starts. The team has won all 10 of those starts. And maybe just a little more into the Astros. Their next 14 games, the next 2 weeks of baseball for the Astros come versus contenders. So we were talking about the playoff race, the playoff picture, how that's shaping up, where the Astros sit right now atop of the division. They do have the Red Sox, the Orioles, the Phillies, and the Royals with cheese in their very, very near future. And just to contextualize the closing of the gap for the Astros and the Mariners, From June 19th to June 24th, the Astros went on a 7-game run, and they just finished another 8-game run here. So you got 2 streaks like that lining up with the Mariners not playing great baseball. That's how you close and shift the gap in the standings the way they did. And then in the AL East, Albert Suarez, tip of the cap to this dude. Quite a road traveled to get to this point right now, and he sits squarely in the middle of a 17 2/3 scoreless inning streak. He had a 12 2/3 scoreless inning streak earlier this year, but if you remember, this is the dude who was overseas across the pond for a couple years in Japan, slicing and dicing, went to Korea, grabbed some barbecue, and figured out how to get outs a little better for a couple years, and then just jumped right in to the thick of things here for the fucking Orioles. Been in the rotation, been in the bullpen, back in the rotation. So yeah, Orioles need help in that rotation. Grayson Rodriguez, Scratchola, enter Albert Suarez, who's
shoved it up our ass yesterday.
Kind of helping things go along. And then I also this little, I don't know. I was super baked when I saw this, honestly, and it was just like, I don't know if this is anything. From 1892 to today, excluding 81, 94, and 2020, truncated seasons, there have been 116 100-win teams. And we will not have one this year. I don't believe we've had one since 2019. Is that right?
The Dodger Giant year?
That part can't be right. That part can't be right.
Yeah.
We had a 101 win team last season with the Orioles. We also had a 104 win Braves team and a 100 win Dodgers team last year.
Or no, what was it for? This is the part that I didn't fucking write down.
Yeah, see, I'm not trying to like make you, but you admitted like this might need cleanup.
Yeah, 100%. Because I saw Rocco Baldelli's name and was like, the fucking Rocco Baldelli was the last 100-win manager. What? No way.
No. Yeah. Maybe debut manager? Did he win 100 in his first year?
Jay, I was extremely high. I have no idea. Yeah. So I just thought that because we're not going to have a 100-win team this year, or we got, I think, the like 95.
Baldelli did win 101 in his first season, so maybe we're something.
That's what I was looking at.
There's the kernel, but who does that apply to now? What is the relevance now?
Oh no, the Rocco Baldelli has nothing to do with that. That was just me again thinking about it. It was just we're not going to have a 100-win team this year, and this was around the conversation of interesting teams, the playoff picture, how it's unfolding, or are we cool with the races being with teams who are not, bludgeoning their opponents? But yeah, as soon as the fucking since 1892 thing popped up, I was like, oh, what's this?
I don't think I'd want a lack of 100-win teams every season, but I'm kind of interested to see how this, group of 8 or 9 teams that are all bunched within 3 or 4 games of each other at the top of the league kind of plays out. I think each season is unique, and I'd like to see how this type of season plays out.
Yeah. Joseph, what's cooking on Baseball Doesn't Exist?
We got a long video coming out for you guys, probably this week, by the end of the week. And by long, I mean regular, how long they usually are. It's not that long, probably. But it's not done yet, so we don't really know for sure. Anyway. But if you like shorter stuff, we got short stuff coming out all the time. Go to TikTok, go to Instagram. A ton of shorts, maybe some coaching action. We'll dive into all types of stuff on the BDE channel if you're interested.
No doubt.
But if you want to know my final thoughts, I got a lot going up right now. I got a lot of tabs open.
Yeah, hit me.
Well, Kerry Carpenter came back last week, and that fucker might be, in my opinion, most underrated player in baseball. And you might say, Joey, he hasn't even played that much, but that's the point, all right? When he plays, he fucking hits. He already has 3 homers in his 5 games back. That reminds me, Royce Lewis. How many home runs does Royce Lewis have this year? Want to guess?
11.
15. So Royce Lewis, every time he comes back from the IL, he gets injured. All this fucking guys. I think right now, like I did the math earlier, like he homers in his career. He's played 116 games over 3 years. He basically homers once every 3 games. Like he's on pace to like break the fucking home run record if he was just healthy. Royce Lewis is another healthy guy. Michael Harris, another healthy guy. Used to be injured. Now he's healthy. First at bat. Boom. Into the water. And you might say, that's great for the Braves. The Braves are back. I always say the Braves are back. Fucking Austin Riley gets hit in the hand. Keep your eye on that in the injury report because they did the tests in Anaheim. They don't trust those doctors because of, Anaheim's, they're terrible. But inconclusive test results, I don't know what that fucking means, but that's a little concerning for me. So watch out for Austin. Ronaldo Lopez is coming back. He's already warming up in the minors. So, you can wipe the sweat off your brow for Ronaldo is back. Other injury notes. We're talking about the Diamondbacks in the desert, Snakes.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the hottest teams in baseball. And you might think, oh, this might just be a blimp. Are they really that good? It's pretty impressive because they've had a lot of injuries. Eduardo Rodriguez has come back, and he's been pretty bad so far. Okay. Merrill Kelly has come back. He's been pretty bad so far. Jordan Montgomery has been here most of the season. He's been absolutely atrocious all season. That's their 3 top starters. What? No, Zach Gallen. Sorry. But those 3 guys have been shit.
Brandon Pfaadt.
Brandon Pfaadt. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about those 3 guys, Montgomery, Eduardo, and Merrill Kelly.
Let them cook.
If those guys end up being good, which they can, I'm just saying, watch out for the Snakes.
Yep, Snakes alive.
Snakes alive. It kind of blows my mind how they've been so good, but those 3 guys have been absolutely irrelevant.
Mm-hmm. I feel like we should give Joe the injury report at the end of the show.
I got more.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Tatis. Where the fuck is Tatis? This guy has been out for like 3 months. I never thought it was like a big injury. This guy is disappeared. And the same thing with the Diamondbacks. It's like the Padres are on this hot streak, and it's just one player. But Tatis is a big player. Imagine he gets back and he's hot. Padres and Diamondbacks have been looking good, and I'm really actually excited about them. And I think the Padres specifically could really make a run for the division.
Okay. There you go. Especially now with Glasnow on the injured list. Thank you, Joe.
And I said at the All-Star break. So
yep. It's good shit. Good shit from you. Jake's takes?
Yeah, one more time, baseballsdeadmerch.com. Everyone go grab your merch. Appreciate the support. I'm particularly excited for the hoodie with fall coming up. Always wanted to rock a Baseball is Dead hoodie. So pumped for that. Go get your merch.
Hell yeah. Great call. I'm very pumped for the merch. Hope to see everyone getting their merch, posting pictures. We'll be sharing them on social as you guys get your packages as they arrive. Appreciate all the support. We'll be back on Wednesday with the hot seat. I don't think we've picked anyone today, right? For Wednesday? We'll get on that. All right, we'll figure that out. Wednesday, hot seat up in the air. And then Thursday, Family Feud. Joseph, thank you for being here today. And we'll fucking see you on Wednesday.
We gone.